Yo guys, how are we doing? Welcome back to the Chelsea Past Present RTG. As the video title will kind of show off what we're doing today, I'm actually going to be using the starting 11, or as close to the starting 11 as I can for Chelsea, in Rivals. So, without further ado, let's jump straight into it, I guess. These are going to be using a mixture of players. These are going to be using players. So we've got a bit of icons in here. We've got some we've got some golds. Just a mixture of players, basically. And these are all going to be the original players that would have started for Chelsea back in 2013. And it's going to be a lot of fun trying them out in Rivals now and seeing if the old team can gel together as well as they used to back then. So without further ado, let's just jump straight into it. So in goalkeeper, who else would we have than our main man, Petr Cech? He's just been a staple goalkeeper for Chelsea for many years now. And a lot of people will remember him for his time at Chelsea. And it wouldn't be a lineup without him, really, would it? So that's that spot was super easy to take up. In the right back position, we have Info and Azpilicueta. So this is not long after Azpilicueta joined Chelsea. That was kind of the role that he was first put into at right back under the likes of Jose Mourinho. He did do some time at left back and then eventually centre back, but at the time, right back was where he is, and that is where he will start in this lineup. In the left back position, then, we have our infamous club legend at this point, Ashley Cole. Again, very staple for Chelsea. He was there for many years through different managers, and a lot of Chelsea fans will know and love him for that point. I need to leave these two centre-back positions blank. I'll explain why shortly. So we'll move on to the midfield roles. And who else would we have other than Sen? Managed to pick him up. Super, super happy. He is amazing. If you're debating on picking up this card for any links, he is worth it. He is exactly like Kante, but with that high work rates. So he's got that opportunity to, kind of bomb it up and down the pitch and stuff. I bought him for a reasonable price. I wanted to try, for my own curiosity, I wanted to try the baby over the mid, because the baby is about 200 or 300k more expensive for some reason. And I just wanted to see, why? Where was the coins going? Was it worth it? And hopefully we'll see in these highlights coming up, was it a good buy? Was it definitely the good purchase? And of course, who else would we have in that centre mid role than Frank Lampard? He is the definition of Chelsea through and through. He is like I said already in many videos before, he is my most favoured player of all time. He is the main reason why I love Chelsea so much, and he is the reason why I'm doing the series. So if you've got anybody to thank, it is Frank Lampard. Now, starting in this centre mid position, we have, if many of you Chelsea fans remember him, Oscar. Yeah, this man, he basically started every game back in 2013, if I'm not mistaken. Oscar was a very, very promising player for that time. And I remember his time very, very well. And every FIFA, I always keep an eye out for any special cards that he has, because I will look for any excuse to get him back in if he is meta or not, because at the time, I really enjoyed watching him play. So that's kind of that story. So now we've got the fun part, right? So we have our centre cam or out wide cam, because, Oscar actually did play right cam for a good few games for Chelsea. So who have we got at the top three? Well, let's start at the obvious spot. You all know who it's going to be. Eden Hazard, just iconic staple Chelsea player. He's done so much for Chelsea over the years, and there are rumours that he will be coming back in January. So I am super, super fingers crossed that he does, because I would love to see him back at Stamford Bridge. And in that right wing position, now maybe some of you remember him, maybe some of you won't, but we have Victor Moses. He's still playing to this day. He is currently in the Russian league. He is a good 4-star, medium work rate player. As you say, I picked him up for fairly cheap. So, don't expect to face him in your weekend league. I put the energy chem style on him because he needed a bit of a pace boost, dribbling boost, and passing boost. The shooting kind of felt a bit redundant to me. I don't think the plus stats is really going to make much of a difference to him. So that was kind of the logic there. So yeah, Victor Moses is very, very iconic for the 2013 starting lineup. And at striker, a lot of you guys will get this wrong, but it was Fernando Torres was the OG original starter for that time. He was basically stealing the thunder away from Didier Drogba at this time. Not shortly then afterwards, Didier Drogba did leave Chelsea and left Fernando Torres to do that role that he did so well for Chelsea. So maybe we'll have to do an older one where we have Drogba in the team, and maybe we can get Ballack, Essien, Lampard, the iconic trio for me. So that's the team that would be staple in the starting 11. The problem that we have, John Terry and Gary Cahill / David Luiz aren't in the game. None of those three are, which seems completely bonkers to me considering the amount of icons that EA have been adding recently. So the common starting duo would be John Terry at left centre back and David Luiz at right centre back. So by that logic, I needed somebody who was slow with good defending, and I needed somebody who was fast and aggressive. Well, we kind of have that at Chelsea, don't we? We have a slow, perfect defender, Thiago Silva, who by this point is one of my club legends. That is across Rivals and Squad Battles. So it's not just a Squad Battle stat. I have been using this guy in Rivals. He is amazing. I really recommend you guys try him if you can fit him into your squads. And I needed somebody fast and aggressive. So who else would we have other than Rudiger? Just makes sense, right? It just fits the squad. So that's the as close to the 2013 starting 11 for Chelsea as I can physically get. I will be playing them in the formation that they played at that time, which was the 4-2-3-1 under Jose Mourinho. And these are the instructions that I've covered in the previous video. I kind of talked a bit about how that all worked, how very fast and counter-attacking that they would play. So we will have Frank Lampard and Essien in that CDM role. We'll have, and then Eden Hazard and Victor Moses out wide to be the fast, agile dribblers. Oscar in that centre cam role, and then Fernando Torres up top to put everything away. So yeah, the instructions, like I said, have already been covered in that video. So if you are interested, please go check them out. So that's the starting 11. Let's jump into those highlights and let's see how well we did. So catch you guys in a sec. And as we jump straight into the gameplay here, a massive shout out to our opponent here. He noticed the squad on the loading screen, and being a Chelsea fan himself, he instantly decided to give me the quit, drop me a message and say, nice team, good luck in the rest of your games. And he subscribed, so shout out to you, buddy, really, really appreciate it. So yeah, jumping into our second game, we've got a very strong Premier League team here, and we're kind of just boasting the kind of strength and power that Fernando Torres brings there. He's very unlucky not to convert that chance. And this is kind of something that I think EA kind of need to address, is this kind of issue. I mean, I'm clearly like muscling him off, but this that goal just seems really, really unfair to me. But it is what it is. I've abused that mechanic myself. I guess you kind of just got to abuse what's good right now and climb the divisions with it. And like I said, with the season rewards resetting, a lot of the good players have dropped a little lower and they're climbing back up. So hopefully within the next few highlights that I'll be able to show you guys, I'll have some better gameplay, some better clips, and hopefully more wins, actually, because I'll be honest, this was very rough recording this. The players, like I will say afterwards, the power creep is very strong, and it shows a lot when you're using these players against very, very strong teams. But, you know, Hazard's still doing bits right now, and as much as we've seen it before, I'd love to see a flashback or a player moment Hazard. That would just make my day, I think, and be so perfect for the series, right? How crazy would it be? So here we've got a new signing, Essien there, you know, playing for the badge. Fernando Torres dropping in deep to kind of rescue that ball, and there he is, Victor Moses. Look at him, he's just pounding him off, and just super unlucky to get blocked by Kimpembe there. And then towards the dying minutes of the game, my opponent finds a very nice through ball past everybody into Sadio Mane. I tried to move the keeper, it's super embarrassing for me, and we lost 3-1. So going into game 2 here, we've got a very strong team. You had a lot of hero cards here. But I'll be honest, this is a very quick game, and you'll kind of see why in a second. I mean, that was a bit of RNG and luck by my opponent there, but Fernando Torres with that finesse shot just tucks that into the corner, and there's no hope for my opponent's goalkeeper saving that. And again, here you get super unlucky. My players are just playing for the badge, you know. Ex-Chelsea players all coming back together, and we go 2-0 up within 5 minutes, and my opponent basically decided enough was enough, and he wanted to get the hell out of there. So strong starts so far after 3 games. You know, we've got 2 wins, not too shabby. Jumping into our next game there, my opponent's got a very, very strong team again, and of course Timo Werner is back to haunt me with this rule breakers Antonio, who was honestly doing bits. I was very, very surprised at how good that card is, and he definitely showed me his strengths and his values. But here we are, we've got Victor Moses. Look at him, he's taking them all on, and sadly just couldn't finish that. I was so gutted. I thought that was the chance, that was to prove that he's a hero and that he deserves to be in this squad. but he was very unfortunate there with a very good block from my opponent. Hazard showing us his quick agility and his pace by dribbling past many players, sadly got saved. Here we are, Werner finds Antonio again, who chips it into the back of the net, and we're 2-0 down within 25 minutes. And then Antonio again. See, this is a bit crazy. The player got stuck. I couldn't move, actually call it the way, and then it just resulted in a bit in the penalty, and I was genuinely a bit gutted by that. Then obviously having to go 3-0 down within 30 minutes, it just feels really, really rough. But here I'm kind of wanting to show you guys like the power of how quick the counter-attack in this 4-2-3-1 custom tactics is. You know, we've literally dispossessed my opponent in our box, and we've instantly countered back up the other end. And that clip was 16 seconds long, so it took 16 seconds of real-time gameplay to take the ball, counter, and run up the other side of the pitch and score. So it's, like I said, the tactics that I've created are very, very fast and very useful for counter-attacking. Rudiger there with a beautiful tackle. I was super chuffed when I did that, not to get the foul. We find Fernando Torres, who finds Oscar, who was super, super unlucky not to get that chip over Mendy. But, you know, 6'6" is quite tough to get that chip right. But my opponent tries it back on Petr Cech, but Rudiger's there, covering the line, being the absolute dominating centre-back that he is. And in the dying minutes of the game, we already know where this is going. There's Timo Werner, back post, who just tucks that in beautifully for, sadly, a 4-0 loss. Coming into our next opponent here, again, very, very strong Serie A squad. We're in the, literally the start of the game. We've managed to dispossess our opponent. Oscar finds Fernando Torres, who just pings that into the back corner. And like I said, I'm surprised, even with the engine chem style, Fernando Torres' shooting stats are crazy. And there's another example again of that kind of floating ball that you can't seem to ever defend against, and it always seems to end up in the back of the net. And literally straight from kickoff, he dispossesses me, and then this happened. I've got no words. I couldn't believe it when I saw it, but I did realise as well afterwards that player, the month player, also has like 99 jumping, so he's literally the definition of a grasshopper. Or salmon boy, if you want to call it, he can jump for craziness. Bit of a crazy rule of events then from kickoff. We get two free kicks straight into a penalty, and then my opponent's psyching me out, and I just go left, and my opponent just guesses correctly there, which is super unfortunate, but you know, we've got to keep pushing, got to keep grinding, and we've got to keep pushing for that other goal. There's a bit of a hoo-ha between Oscar and Moses, but then the ball eventually lands to Fernando Torres, who tucks that away nicely. And we do have a little bit of cheese ourselves here. We defend the corner quite nicely, and then, wow, we somehow win the ball back with Hazard. We tried the chip, and somehow Szczesny doesn't get that, but I was super, super happy with that. We actually did end up losing the game, sadly, 4-3. So, yeah, it's just the way the game goes. I think, sadly, the footage at the end corrupted. I do remember this opponent, though. My opponent constantly was trying to do finesse shots with both George Best and Messi, and it was very infuriating to defend against because he kept trying it and kept trying it. But in the first half, we both show how dominating Fernando Torres can be, and he just tucks away 2 goals like it's nothing. So coming up to our next opponent here, we've got a League One kind of hybrid team going on here, which is quite nice. I saw Ben Yedder and honestly panicked, and I was super, super scared. But I was very happy because that was Oscar's first goal of the kind of highlight, so I was very, very happy with that. He was okay. I think the Hunter Chem style definitely helped, but his agility and balance really did suffer, and compared to a lot of other players that I've been using recently, it's really hard to get used to kind of the clunkiness of certain players after a while. Our opponent equalises quite nicely, but we do, again, the chip through ball cheese. We find Fernando Torres, which is kind of his role really in Chelsea when he was there. He loved the chip through balls or the headers, and we get very fortunate. We try and chip Schmeichel, but he saves it, and we catch the rebound. And my opponent does some really nice in-the-box dribbling there with Ousmane Dembele, levels it back up to 2-2. And as soon as you see Ben Yedder on the ball, you start to panic because he's just twisting and turning, showing Azpilicueta where he needs to be to get out of his way, falls to Di Natale, and bang, back of the net just before the end of the first half. And then coming straight into the second half here, we're trying to fast break as fast as we can with who we've got. We find Hazard, who finds Fernando Torres, who just slingshots that ball straight into the back of the net, and we are back level at 3-3. My opponent's now on the break with Di Natale, who then finds Klaus, that's the new right wing back, who then finds Ousmane Dembele, who tucks that into the net You can see my instant pause there to change tactics and go to panic stations, which instantly proves fruitful and does work, because look who it is. It's Victor Moses, and he gets the goal. I was so happy for him, man. I was super happy. I couldn't believe that he pressed so hard and got the goal. But sadly, in the dying minutes, my opponent's really good dribbling in the box leads him to win the game. So guys, that is the end of the lovely 2013 starting 11. What did you guys think? It was very tough. The matches today were very tough. I think the end of the season has really kicked a lot of players around into the same division. So you've got players that are like top tier elite coming down to this Division 3 where I am right now, because that is where I finished in Division 1 last season, rank 3 I finished, which means that obviously it kicked me back to Division 3, which meant that, you know, a lot of the pros and a lot of the really good players, obviously clearly a lot better than me, are coming down to my level. So let me know what you guys thought of the starting 11. I mean, I tried to play the best I could. I did find some players were really struggling. Obviously, Moses, as much as he is a hero for being in this squad, bit unlucky, and the game is so, the power creep in this game is so far gone for him at this point that it was just crazy using him. But he did bag that goal against my last opponent in that last game. Super unlucky, obviously, to concede at the very end. But my opponent did that all game, as you'll see from the highlights, just constantly dragging back and dribbling in the box. So, but hey, that is FIFA, right? And that is how it works. Like you can see, as you can see as well, Torres is amazing, such a very good striker. So, like I said, if you are considering getting him, you should get him. He is really worth the coins. Essien, he was okay. If I had a choice between Kante and Essien, I would pick Kante every single day of the week. With Lampard, I found that he really struggled in this role. I found him to be better as a more get-forward CM rather than a CDM, because that high-medium work rate, I think, really screws with him a little bit. Thiago Silva's pace, I really did notice it a little bit recently, due to obviously how cheap really meta players are. I think it's really hard for him to deal with that. And then in the 3-4-2-1 formation that I play, I can kind of get away with Thiago Silva because I have pacey centre-backs around him, plus the left mid and the right mid on comeback on defence. So that kind of makes up for that. The player that actually really annoyed me the most, I think, was Azpilicueta's inform. I found him, even though the tactics tell him to stay back while attacking, he pushed up so far so many times. It left such a big gap on that side, which gave my opponent so many opportunities to run down that side. And he really started to bug me recording these highlights. But, you know, Reece James completely outclasses this card in terms of right-back performance. So if you were going to pick between the two, Reece James is your man. Sorry, Aspie, but that's just how you are in this game. But I definitely think the next one I am going to do is probably around the 2007 era, so we can get Didier Drogba, Joe Cole, Ashley Cole, Lampard, Ballack, Essien. Let me know if you guys would be up for that. You know, drop a like, let me know down below. Subscribe if you haven't. I mean, subscriptions are really massive, and seeing you guys subscribe and actually caring about my videos really means a lot to me. I know you hear this a lot from every other YouTuber, but honestly, for me, it really makes a difference, and I'd be very appreciative if you did subscribe. So that's all from me. Take it easy, guys, and peace.